But first for you, a Fox News alert. Joe Biden's transition team has just released a statement it is attributed to Hunter Biden, and it reads this way. Quote, I learned yesterday for the first time that the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware advised my legal counsel, also yesterday, that they are investigating my tax affairs. I take this matter very seriously, but I am confident that a professional and objective review of these matters will demonstrate that I handled my affairs legally and appropriately, including with the benefit of professional tax advisors. End quote. Well, a few of us knew that already, to be honest. Shortly before last month's election, we reported on this show that federal prosecutors had opened a criminal investigation into Hunter Biden's business dealings with China, among other countries. We knew that was true, which is why we said it. Other news organizations knew it was true too, but they didn't say it. They said nothing. They hid that news, critically relevant news, from their readers and their viewers. They didn't want to hurt Joe Biden's chances of getting elected. The Justice Department itself refused to confirm the existence of that investigation for fear of being accused of political interference. So going into Election Day, most Americans had no idea any of this was going on. All they knew was that Joe Biden had dismissed the entire thing as a Russian plot, and that large numbers of senior officials in the so-called intelligence community agreed with that assessment. That's what Joe Biden said at the debate. Again, what we're about to play for you is the sum total of information that most voters in this country got about the Biden family's business dealings with China in the weeks before they made up their minds in this election. Watch.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, so 50 former intelligence folks have decided that it's Russian garbage. It's just more Slavic disinformation, just another example of the Kremlin interfering in our sacred democracy. The intel community has decided that, so just throw it in the circular file. Well, that's a familiar line. You've heard it many times before. In fact, you heard it every day for years. Russia! Yet somehow you haven't heard it much recently. In fact, for about a month and 8 days, to be exact. Democrats have about zero interest in highlighting Russian meddling in this election. Assuming there was any Russian meddling, it was not very effective. Apparently, Vladimir Putin let down his closest friend just when it counted. Poignant. In fact, the whole topic of foreign interference no longer seems like a priority for the Democratic Party. Have you noticed? Why? Because it's now clear to everyone, whether they're willing to admit it or not, that the real threat to this country is not Russia. It hasn't been Russia for 30 years, since the summer of 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. And to claim otherwise is absurd and was always absurd. The truth is that the real threat we face as a country is from the communist government of China, which, and everyone knows this too, has long been in bed with our democratic elites, in some cases literally in bed. And yes, we're looking at you, Eric Swalwell, you lying creep. More on him in just a minute. But back to tonight's news on the Biden family. How do we know for sure that Hunter Biden is under federal investigation? Where'd the news come from? Well, it came directly from the Biden transition team. They're the ones who told us. The confirmation of this investigation was not leaked to the New York Times. It came right from the top of the Democratic Party. In fact, in tonight's statement, there was included a message from Joe Biden himself, affirming that he is, quote, deeply proud of his son. Joe Biden didn't specify why he was so gosh darn proud of Hunter Biden. Maybe federal investigations are a rite of passage in the Biden family. We can only speculate. We can be pretty sure that Joe Biden didn't want to issue the statement in the first place. Why would he? Who would want to issue it? He issued it because he was pushed. By whom and for what purpose was he pushed? That's the question tonight. Now, we don't know the answer to that. We do know that there are powerful forces within the Democratic Party that do not like Joe Biden. They believe Joe Biden is too male and too white and too wedded to the old ways, wedded to politics as it used to be back when there was a functioning constitution that provided checks and balances on power. People like that would like to displace Joe Biden and get right to the part of the story where Kamala Harris and her sponsors at Google run the United States of America. And it's hard to believe they're going to wait 4 years to do that. We'll see. You heard it here first. According to what we've learned tonight from the statement, the investigation into Hunter Biden is not related to his drug use. We confirmed that as well. Instead, the investigation is based in part on suspicious activity reports on foreign transactions. Now, keep in mind, in the weeks before the election, you were not allowed to go on Twitter or Facebook and discuss those suspicious foreign transactions. You couldn't talk about them even after Hunter Biden's business associates, people like Tony Bobulinski, came forward in public with evidence that those were real. You had to be quiet and not tell your neighbors about any of it, in case your neighbors might be tempted not to vote for Joe Biden once they learned it. And they might have been tempted not to vote for Joe Biden, had they known. On this show, Tony Bobulinski revealed that Hunter Biden made deals with groups connected directly to the Communist Party of China. And he made those deals with the blessing of his father, explicitly, the former Vice President Joe Biden, who himself was profiting from those deals directly. The former vice president has said he had no knowledge whatsoever of his son's business dealings and was not involved in them at all. But this sounds like direct involvement in them.
Yeah, that's a blatant lie. When he states that, that is a blatant lie. Obviously, the world's aware that I attended the debate last Thursday. And in that debate, he made a specific statement around questions around this from the president. And I'll be honest with you, I almost stood up and screamed liar and walked out because I was shocked that after 4 days or 5 days that they prepped for this, that the Biden family is taking that position to the world.
Again, that was Tony Bobulinski, who is in business with Hunter Biden, who met with Joe Biden to discuss that business with China. That's what he said on camera. And at the time, they called it a conspiracy theory. CNN rolled its eyes, literally. They dismissed it as Russian disinformation. Most media outlets deemed it unworthy of mentioning at all. Now it turns out all of them were lying. Again, if you're looking for election rigging, look no further. That's what this is. They kept information from the public in order to influence the outcome of the election. They rigged it.